Harihi Om Sadashivasamarambam Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Parampara Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Lankayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Paramananda Madhavam. Om. So, we have completed up to 24 shlokas in chapter number 1. Today, we will be getting into the shloka number 25. The shloka goes like this. Bheeshma Drona Pramukhatah Sarvesham cha Mahikshitam Uvacha Partha Pashyaitan Samavetan Kurun iti. So, Bhishma Drona Pramukhatah. Now, where did he take the chariot and stop? He stopped it in the middle of between the two Sena. But we are talking in terms of a very large Sena. So what did he do? He took the chariot to the place where he can see Bhishma and Drona in front of or facing Pramukhatah. Bhishma is Bhishma pitaamaa and Drona is Dronaachaarya. Sarvesham cha mahikshitam, and all the generals and the chiefs. Right? Mahikshitam, here Mahi means the earth or land, and Kshita means to dwell, to rule. So that is the context, the rulers of the earth. It need not be a king per se, but anyone with an authority over a field is called as Mahikshitam. That is included within the term Mahikshita. So he stops it in front of Bhishma and Drona and other great kings who are assembled there. At that time, Uvacha Partha. Now this is taken as Lord Krishna told Uvacha to Arjuna, which is Partha, son of Pritha. Now there is another version where I have seen Uvacha Partha iti. Partha told the following words, because it will start with Arjuna Uvacha later. Right? So there are some who use the term Uvacha Partha to represent Arjuna speaking after the shloka. But in our tradition, we take it as Lord Krishna told. Pashyaitan, etan pashya. Look at these things, look at them. Right? So etan can be used in both contexts, but here, because it is the people we are talking, we should say, look at them. What he said, I want to see. He wanted to look at the army who are so desirous of fighting. Pashya etan. So that is the way that Lord Krishna executes the command. Samavetan kurun. This is continuing with the previous Pashya etan samavetan kurun, which is assembled chiefs, kurun, Kuru army, iti, in this way. Right? Now, Sanjaya said, was told so to Arjuna, implying Lord Krishna said so. That iti represents this. Now, as I said, there are some places where Pashya etan samavetan kurun is something that Sanjaya is speaking, because that says Sanjaya Uvacha. That is the way those traditions communicate. But here we, in our tradition, attribute the first words of Bhagwan to this shloka, though it is not Bhagwan speaking, rather it is the indirect speech in which Sanjaya says Bhagwan spoke. Right? That is the way we interpret it. It is your convenience how you interpret. Now, significance in Bhagwad Gita. This is the first time Bhagwan speaks in Bhagwad Gita, though it comes as an indirect speech told by Sanjaya. Pashya etan samavetan kurun is a charioteer reporting back to the master after executing the command issued to him. Right. Here, Arjuna spoke as a master. Right. Senayoho ubayoho madhye me ratham sthapaya achyuta is the way that he spoke earlier. To that, the response was, took the rath, stopped it, and said, have a look. Now, in tradition, we see this as a deliberate action by Lord Krishna. He could have placed the chariot from where Duryodhan or Dushasan were more prominently visible than Bhishma pitaamaa or Dronaachaarya. So, in our tradition, we establish that the emotional weakness in the heart of Arjuna was very well known to Lord Krishna. This is because the reverence we place on Lord Krishna. It is nowhere said, it is nowhere declared. It is a kind of an opinion that we form or express. That's about it. So I want to be very clear that this is more of an opinion that he, as in Lord Krishna, deliberately placed the chariot from where he can see Bhishma pitaamaa and Dronaachaarya, towards whom Arjuna has a soft corner in the heart. Had Lord Krishna not done, had he taken it to where Duryodhan and say Dushasan was there, the anger would have emanated at that point in time into Arjuna. But when the true fight begins, he would not have the rational thinking to go and attack the Dronacharyas or the Bhishma Pitamaas with the same vigor that he had shown in the war, which he would have missed had he not had the Bhagavad Gita Upadesh. As I said, this is more of an opinion in the tradition where we teach this shloka. The shloka merely speaks what I said. Moving on. Now, Dhananjaya is the name that we saw. Right? Here, Partha is the name that is being used for Arjuna. What I did was I wanted to just take a moment to look at all the names that are there for Arjuna in Mahabharata. Right? So first is Dhananjaya. One who has conquered wealth is the literal meaning. Right? There are some traditions which say he was always victorious and earned the fame and respect everywhere. For Kshatriya, the Dhan is victory. In Vishnu Sahasranama, we have seen Vedantago Brahmanasyat Kshatriyo Vijayi Bhavet Vaishyo Dhana Samruddhasyat Shudras Sukham Avapniyat. So, what the people pursue of the four Varnas is given as one of the phala in the Vishnu Sahasranama. There, the Dhan, there, the that which the Kshatriya earned for, YEARN, that kind of a yearn for, is Vijayi Bhavet, the victory. And because he was always victorious in his, fight throughout, right? Because of that, he is called as Dhananjaya. That is one of the way we interpret it. To say, because Arjuna was a Kshatriya, for him, the Dhan, the prosperity, the wealth is victory in the battle. And because he is always victorious in his battles, he is called Dhananjaya. Now, this purity of mind or the affection that he has towards Lord Krishna made him eligible for Gitopadesh, is the way that we attribute further value there. Kudakeshaha, we have seen this earlier, one who has won the sleep or one who has won the influences of Tamogun. Vijayaha, one who is ever victorious. Savya Sachi, one who can shoot the arrows using both hands with the same excellence. Right? The name celebrates his ability to adapt, excel, and innovate in battle, making him one of the greatest warriors in Mahabharata. Sabyasachi also means one who is free of any weaknesses in executing their actions. Right? The reason why we say that is when I use my right hand, I'm very strong. But when I use my left hand, I feel that my left hand is a little weaker than my right hand. By saying he is Sabyasachi, it also indirectly represents that he is free of any weaknesses. Anagaha, one who is sinless. Bhibhatsu, right? One who fights the war in proper order, right? One who follows the Kshatriya dharma at all times. Both Bhishma and Karna's instances were prompted and guided by Lord Krishna, yet he does not fall short of true essence of this name throughout Mahabharata war. Right? He always stands up to dharma. Kiriti, one who wears the crown which is given to him by Lord Indra. Next one is Jishnuhu, one who is always victorious. Again, similar to Vijaya. Right? Palguna, born under the star called as Uttara Palguni. Mahabahu, one with large, strong, or long arms. But contextually, it means one who has a hand of generosity and excellence in skills. Gandhivadari, holder of the bow named Gandiva. Partha, son of Pritha. Kaunteya, son of Kunti. Pandava or Panduputra, son of King Pandu. Krishna, one who has dark complexion, one who is very difficult to comprehend. So note that even Arjuna is called Krishna. And again, as I said, in Sanskrit, it is the property that attributes a name. And if some have the same property, they can be called with the same name. Right? Then Brihanala. Brihanala was the Nala, we know. He was excellent in cooking. Right? But the name Brihanala was the one that he took the name during the 13th year in exile, when he was in Ajnatavas. Now, in that role, he played the role of a Napunsak. And he was basically a teacher of dance and music to Princess Uttara. Right? It is said that, or Mahabharata declares, he to have worn women's attire, including bangles, earrings, and braided hair, etc. Right? This is seen as is seen with connection to Urvashi's curse. Right? So Urvashi would have gotten attracted to Arjuna, but he will place her as one of the divinities, and he says, we cannot have a relationship. And Urvashi gets very upset and she curses him to become a Napunsak. And then, upon apology and upon intervention, the curse is turned to 1 year of having to live the life of a woman. And then after that he gets back, and that is the reason why he stays as a woman throughout that particular year. Going into shloka number 26. Tatra pashya sthitan partha pithrunata pitamahan acharyan matulan bhratrun putran pautran sakhins tatha. Here the, what do you say, definitions of what is the experience that Arjuna went through upon seeing the army is being narrated by Sanjaya. Tatra apashyat. Right there, he could see stithan, situated, assembled, Partha, Arjuna, Pithrun atha pitamahan, father-like figures as well as grandfather-like figures. Acharyan, teachers. Matulan, maternal uncles. Brathrun, brothers and cousins. Putran, those who are like children. Pautran, those who are like his own grandchildren. Sakin tata, as well as friends. Now, it's let us look at the lineage for this particular shloka. But before we get into this, one thing that I want to tell you that relationships remain relationships. They can never change. It is once you have cultivated that relationship, it is your responsibility to hold them. When it comes to friends or others, we call it as paurusheyam, as in relationships that are established by you. However, when it comes to your blood relations, including your cousin, either on the maternal side or on the paternal side, they are called as apaurusheyam. They are created by God. The only relationship that you would have created and yet it is considered to be apaurusheyam is marriage. In our tradition, in a Western tradition, marriage is a contract. It is more of a convenience. Whereas in the traditional Hindu or Vedic culture, the marriages are seen as a relationship that is established by Bhagwan, and hence it is inseparable as as a relationship. So the marriage is the only exception to this paurusheya apaurusheya relationship. And it is said that the Paurusheya relationships, the relationships that you cultivate, they can have changes to it. Whereas Apaurusheya relationships cannot have any change. They are cast in stone. They can never change. Your association to those in the blood relationship is Paurushayam again. That can change. I can become a very big enemy of my brother, or I can be not talking to my sister, and all those things are possible. It is very Paurushayam in nature. But the fact that he remains a brother can never be changed. That my sister remains a sister can never be changed. And hence, the concept of relationship in the Vedic culture is given a very high prominence. The Kula Dharma becomes an important aspect because of that. That is why when we do the puja, we say, right, we pray to the Kula Devata as well as Grama Devata. Right, that is the commitment that we put to the Kul. And that is a commitment that we put towards those relationships. Even now, when you go to villages, you will see that those relationships hold a very, very, very important and a significant value in one's life. It is only now that those relationships are getting broken, and I hope it will stop and somewhere a reversal will take place, because true value lies in building and holding that relationship and committing yourself to that relationship. Given this is the value, let us look at Mahabharata from the point of view of the lineage. The lineage, when you look at both the text of Mahabharata or the Bhagwat Puran, or more specifically the Harivamsha, there is a lot that has been said. It starts from the creator, the Chaturmukha Brahma, who has a life of 100 years. Right? And his creation, Sapta Rishis. For each Manvantara, there are Sapta Rishis. And for this Manvantara, we have Vaivashvata Manvantara. And the Sapta Rishis for this Manvantara are Atri, Bhrigu, Kashyapa, Vasishta, Gautama, Jamadagni, Bharadwaja. Now, in terms of, the Vedic way of, performing our Nitya Karma, right, Sandhya, Vandhana, etc., we named 7 rishis: Atri, Bhrigu, Kutsa, Vasishta, Gautama, Kashyapa, Angirasa Rishiyah. And then we follow with Gayatri, Ushne, Kanuttu, Brihati, Pankti, Triptu, Jagati, Chandamsi, Agnivayu, Arkavagi, Savarunendra, Vishwe, Deva, Devata. That is the way that particular sequence of mantra goes. Here we name the 7 rishis. There are some places where there is a misrepresentation of these 7 rishis to belong to Vaivashvata Manvantara, or they are the Sapta Rishis for this Vaivashvata Manvantara. It is wrong. Right? It is totally out of ignorance those people speak of it. If you go by the Vedic traditions, the 7 rishis are Atri, Bhrigu, Kashyapa, Vasishta, Gautama, Jamadagni, Bharadwaja. Okay. Now, to Sage Atri and his wife Anusuya is born Chandra. This Chandra is born out of tapasya. To Chandra and Tara, which is wife of Brihaspati, Budha was born. Okay. To Budha and Ela is born Purooravas. That is the place from where the Kuru lineage starts. In the lineage of Purooravas is born Yayati, son of Nahusha. It is much down the line. I can go through each of them, but for now it is more convenient to just name it as Nahusha. Now, Puru is born to Yayati and Sharmishtha. In this lineage of Yayati is born Dushasan to Nilil and Ranadhari. To Dushyantha and Shakuntala is born King Bharata, on whose name India is still called Bharat. Now, then this is the place where our Adi Parva starts or gives the reference, but it just comes down far down the lineage from Bharata before we hit into the Pandavas or Pandu or Dhritarashtra or go up the lineage, right? But this is the extent to which the lineage has been provided. Now, to King Bharata, right, there is a lot of attribution to him. He is said to have performed 1,800 Ashwamedha Yajna and 100 Rajasuya Yajna. Now, this continues like Bhumanyu, Suhotra, or Vikanja, etc. It continues that way and it comes to Kuru. That is the place the Kuru dynasty or the Kuru Kul starts. Right. King Kuru was born to Samvarna and Tapti. Vidhurat followed Kuru, who was the father of Prathipa. Then comes Shantanu, who was born to Prathipa and married Ganga. Right. Then Bheeshma was born to Shantanu and Ganga. Then to Satyavati, we know about those promises which we discussed when we were talking about Bheeshma, was born were born Vichitraveerya and Chitrangada. Before the marriage, Satyavati is also the mother of Vedavyasa. She was born to sage Parashar, who was born in an island, right? And the blessing that Parashar had given was after the child is born, she will gain back her virginity, kind of stuff, right? She will get back to her Kanni situation. Now, Vichitraveerya is married to Ambika and Ambalika, right? We know what happened to Amba, right? The 3 daughters of Kashi Raja. But they were not able to have children. He dies sooner. So there is a niyoga that is performed to Ambika and niyoga is performed by Vedavyasa, basically. So what happens is, because the mother, he would have promised, Vedavyas would have promised to his mother that any time she needs a help, he will come to help. So, what do you say? The Satyavati who is the mother of, who is the wife of who is the wife of Shantanu, Satyavati is going to Vedavyasa to request for the children, because otherwise the whole lineage will collapse. So there is a process called as Niyoga. Right? In that process, Vedavyasa is helping Ambika give birth to Dhritarashtra, and to Ambalika, Pandu is born. There is a third one, Vidura, who is born to the maid servant. Unfortunately, we don't know the name of that maid servant. Everywhere it is just mentioned as a maid servant. There is no name that is given. Now, the value is, in Sanatana Dharma, we put the Kula Dharma to the most of the highest value. I had earlier mentioned to you that it will come back eventually. Right now it is like losing it, because the value of holding the family tradition is no longer there, and individual has taken a preference with me being happy. Right? And there are so many videos where there are people so seriously advocating that, right, you have got nothing is left. This only thing is you. So be always self-centric, be always self-centric. Right? They don't put it that way. They put it as a value. Right? But if you just translate it and read it in my tone, you will see how wrong they are. And I'm sure that it will roll back to the actual value that one should hold to Kula Dharma. And I say this because recently I was talking to somebody, a friend of mine, and he was telling about, searching through DNA mapping and finding some aunt or uncle who were living in Portland, and they went and visited them and so on. So the association to the Kul is a God given aspect, and you can never be without it. You will always try to find that association. It may not become too prominent today, but as the individual just remains an individual, there will be obviously a place where they want to rest, and that will be the time when the turn will happen and Kul will start taking a priority. Right? So in our tradition, that Kul is always given the priority. Going into the 27th shloka. Shvashuran suhridaschaiva senayorubhayorapi tan samikshya sa kaunteyah sarvan bandhunavastitan. Now, we are continuing with whom else he has seen. Shvashuran, father-in-laws. Right? It is my father-in-law, right? But okay, we'll go. Suhridaha, one who are having good intent towards you, the well-wishers. Cha eva, and also, or and indeed, senayoho ubhayoho, between or among the two armies. That is what it means. So here the context is he is seeing all these relationships in both the sides of the army, api including. Tan samikshya, all of them, that is tan, they, those, after having seen samikshya, Saha Kaunteyah, he, the son of Kunti, Sarvan Bandhun, right, all kinds of relatives, kinsmen, friends, Avasthitan, assembled or placed or situated. As you know, in a poetry, the order is not really important. We assemble it to understand. Swashuran cha suhridah एव अपि उभयोः सेनयोः अवस्थितान् सह कौन्तेय samikshya sarvan bandhun. So what he is seeing is everyone who is known to him, who is the person of high value, right? Of somebody with whom he has had an association, bandhu, is the way that the shloka goes. So I don't know why I have put lineage, copy paste issue. Um, Here we will just introduce the Bhagwad Gita. We are coming close, right? 42 shlokas, we are at 27, right? So let us try to get a small look at Bhagwad Gita. Bhagwad Gita is said to have 700 shlokas. However, the first shloka in the 13th chapter is not included in some editions, including the one which we practice, though we have, as naughty people, injected it into our 13th shloka because we have to teach. Other traditions are teaching and you are not teaching. So let us not have a confusion. Right. The 13th chapter starts the Upadesha from a Jnana Yoga point of view. So the main topics are three kind of set. Kshetram, Kshetrajnah, Prakriti, Purushah, Jnanam, Jneyah. These are all the 6 topics that are covered in that chapter. The verse that Shankaracharya uses in the Shankaracharya's bhashyam, you will not find this particular shloka, which I have quoted here. Right? And the division takes place. Right? So the way that shloka goes is Arjuna uvacha prakritim purusham chaiva kshetram kshetrajnameva cha etad veditumicchami jnanam jneyam cha keshava. So in the shloka, it starts as though Arjuna is asking a question to Krishna, to which Krishna responds by defining all these 6 terms: Prakritim, Purusham, Kshetram, Kshetrajnah, and Jnanam, Jneyam. Right? So all these 6 terms he expresses. So that is how that first shloka comes, but it is not there in the version. So in our version, because we have injected, we have 701 shlokas. And that you can see in chapter 1 has 47 shlokas, chapter 2 has 72 shlokas, chapter 3 has 43, and so on. I will leave it to you for reading it. Some traditions combine the shlokas, bringing the next line into this shloka. And similarly, previously we had seen Arjuna being brought in between. They kind of collapse it in that they break the chandas rule, because a chandas cannot have the 3 lines, right? So basically, if in case it is in the anushtup chandas, then it has to have only 2 lines. We can always inject the uvacha, the declaration of who is talking, etc. It is not considered to be part of the shloka. So you can inject it between the 2 lines. But because it comes a little odd, there are people who put 3 shlokas and 3 shlokas together, reducing it to 46 in this chapter and making extra in the 13th chapter, making it 36 in the 13th chapter, thereby maintaining the count of 700. Okay, so it is just that. If you come across those kind of situations where people are saying, hey, there is 701 shloka, there is no shloka, there is this shloka, etc., this explanation should give you the information behind why such, what do you say, different variances exist. Okay, that is the back. Now, going back into the 28th shloka, कृपया परयाविष्ठः विषीदन्निदमब्रवीत् अर्जुन उवाच दृष्ट्वेमं स्वजनं कृष्ण युयुत्सुं समुपस्थितम्. So this is the 28th shloka. Now, kripaya paraya avishtah. Kripaya paraya. Paraya is excessive, param, supreme. Kripaya, compassion. Avishtaha is overwhelmed. Vishidan, grieving, desponding, or lamenting. Idam abravit, spoke the following words. So that is up to this point, it is Sanjaya speaking. Here, Arjuna Uvacha is Arjuna spoke, Drishtva Imam Swajanam Krishna. After seeing all these people, who are what kind of people? They are my own people. They are the kinsmen. They are with whom I have lived. They are my people. Drishtva Imam Swajanam Krishna, O Lord Krishna, Yuyutsum Samupastitam. Yuyutsum means with the intent to fight. Some upastitam are very well established here. The upastitam is sufficient to say that they are here, they are present here. But some upastitam makes it they are ready and they are in established formations. So that is the reason why the some as an upasarga, as a prefix, is used here. Clarification on Swajanam and Shastra's emphasis on giving importance to the larger elements over the unit. Right. Now, in Chanakya Niti, this is something which is very famous one, right? And it is always, debated. The way that it goes is, Tyajasya ekam kulasyarte. It is okay to let go of one, compromise one, if we have the intent to protect the kul, and that remains the only way to protect the kul. Right? Gramasyarthe kulam tyajet. To protect a village, if in case we have to let go of, right? Even if in case we have to kill an entire kul, it is okay. That is what Chanakya Niti says. Gramam Janapadasyarthe. Right, Janapadasyarthe. Now, Janapada is again, it refers to a kingdom. Right, that which is ruled by a Janadipati. Right, that is what is Janapadasyarthe. Gramam Janapadasyarthe. It's okay to compromise or to let go of, to let even to destroy a village in order to protect the kingdom, in order to protect the nation. Atmarthe Prithvim Tyajet. This is the most, what do you say, complicated or complex words that we have in the Shastra. There is an alternate version where instead of Atmarthe, we use Dharmasyarthe Sarvam Tyajet. We go beyond even Prithvi. Right? Even the devotion to God can be compromised if in case I have to stand in the path of, or I have to stand and live the life of Dharma. That is the most important value here. Now, let us look at the technical aspect of Atmarthe Prithvim Tyajet. The literal meaning is, for the sake of the self, one can even renounce the earth. Now, this incorrect interpretation, to save yourself, you are allowed to sacrifice everything. That is a wrong way. Right? Even in some of the movies or the army movies, I have seen that if in case you have to protect yourself, you can kill. Right? And that is what is the way that it is interpreted as well. That is a wrong way of interpretation. I, as an individual, is always to serve my kul, gramam, and kingdom. That is the way that is. My role in life is to serve them, not benefit from them. It is a very Western or a very Semitic way of looking at it, to say that you live a life for getting something for you at all times. The Dharma Shastra says that you are there to serve that kul, gram, or the kingdom. In this process, if you have to be compromised, if I have to be compromised, it is absolutely fine. Now, how is Atmarthe Prithvim Tyajet? How does that then apply? For this, we take the interpretation based on the 45th Shloka, and in chapter 18, we see in the 20th Shloka. In this chapter, in 45th Shloka, we will see Traigunya Vishaya Veda Nistraigunyo Bhavarjuna Nirdvandho Nitya Sattvastha Niryoga Kshemamatmavan. So here, basically, you go in the reverse direction. Here, Bhagwan says this is the step by step to salvation, to moksha. So what he says is Atmavan Bhava, Niryoga Kshemaha Bhava, Nitya Sattvastaha Bhava, Nirdvandvaha Bhava, and then Nistraigunya Bhava Arjuna. That is the way of you to go. Here the term Atmavan is seen as Dharmavan, one who follows the life of Dharma. So based on this shloka, we can attribute, instead of Atmarthe, we can use Dharmasyarthe. Absolutely fine. So that there is no confusion. Right? Atmarthe can be used only when you have identified Atma as you. What we do, we take both Atma and Anatma and confuse it to understand as I, as Atma. Or we try to divide, we say that everyone has a soul in themselves. That is again in Bhagwad Gita, it is a very Rajasic way of looking at it. A Sattvic way of looking at it is it is Ekam. Atma is Ekam. When you have that Ekam as the vision of Atma in you, then you are naturally in the path of Dharma. There is no Aham Bhava that manifests in Atma. That is the emphasis that goes here. In the 18th chapter, Sarva Bhuteshu Yenaikam Bhavamavyayamikshate Avibhaktam Vibhakteshu Tadjnanam Vidhi Satvikam. This 20th shloka is read with the second chapter 45th shloka so that we establish what is the Atma. In the 20th shloka, Bhagavan says, Sarva Bhuteshu Yena Ekam, one who sees in all the beings Ekam Bhava, right? Bhavam is Ekam, right? And Avyayam, right? Those who see it that way, Ikshate in this particular way. Avibhaktam Vibhakteshu, though they appear as divided, you see it as a unified self. Tadjnanam vidhi satvikam. So with this gyan, when you put the word Atma, it will reference to Dharma. That is the way we put, and that is the reason why we also include an alternate way of saying Dharmasyarte Sarvam Tyajet. There are several other shlokas that emphasize this, is something that I was reading. So I can say in the 6th chapter, the 30th shloka, Yo mam pashyati sarvatra sarvam cha mayi pashyati tasyaham na pranashyami sacha na pranashyati. The second line is not of great importance to this. Yo mam pashyati sarvatra, one who sees me everywhere, and sarvam cha mayi pashyati, in everything he sees me. So in everywhere he sees me, and in everything he sees me. And this is a unification that happens. That is how we will be seeing it in the 6th chapter. In the 31st shloka that follows, here again, Sarva Bhuta Sthitham Yomam Bhajatyekatvamasthitah Sarvatha Vartamanopi Sayogi Mayi Vartate. So here again, the same thing. Sarva Bhutah Sthitam Yaha Mam, right? Bhajati Ekatvam Asthitah. Right, again, the whole concept is putting that together, seeing everything as one. The meaning of Atmarthe Prithvim Tyajet. I don't know what I spoke, I'm just reading now what I have written. Atmarthe Prithvim Tyajet is to uphold the righteousness. In order to uphold the righteousness, it is okay to let go of everything, as in to let go of this entire world. Right? No facet or expression or possibility should be considered when one is pursuing the path of dharma. So for that, one must understand the dharma. And remember, dharma is that which you follow. Acharati iti dharma. So when it comes to your duty to follow dharma, nothing in the world should be seen as a hindrance. Unto that, you can overlook anything or everything else. For example, Bhishma pitaamaa failed this dharma while Vibhishan upheld this dharma when they had a dharma sankat or dharam sankat. Dharam sankat is where there are two dharmas, and between the two righteousness, which one to pick. In the presence of the king, I should not speak is the dharma. The other dharma is I am supposed to uphold the sanctity of the sabha as the senior most person, as the person of wisdom. Right now, when Panchali was brought in to the Sabha, and that too when she was in her periods, it is supposed to be reducing the sanctity of the Sabha. Now, here Bhishma Pitama had to choose between the two dharmas, and he chose to be silent because of his pratigna to the Rajya, because he makes his promise that whatever happens, I will stand by the Rajya. Right now, he took this pratigna. He can still stand by the Rajya, but he could have stood up to oppose it. Gandhari did it. On the other hand, Vibhishan, he knew that his brother was in the side of adharma. He tried his best to persuade his brother to let go and compromise with Ram. When nothing worked, he said, I desert you, and he comes in the Sharan of Ram, where there is dharma. So that is the difference. You need to understand, in order to be in the path of dharma and to do your duty, everything else can be compromised. Now, just to clarify, this alternate version is not found in scriptures. Dharmasyarthe sarvam tyajet. This is more from a tradition point of view. In our tradition, at least, we say this, but it is not necessary that it is from a scripture. I don't know about it. Right? And I have come across some of the traditions where they again break the Chandas rule and they add this as the fifth line into that particular declaration. But as per the text, it is only the 4 lines. Okay. Vedic way of life, individuals are performers. Karma Yogi serves their kul, which is what we have discussed earlier. Purpose of the kul is to serve the gram. That is also to be very, it is a most important thing. What has happened today is instead of serving the gram, we are moving to serve ourselves. We become rich and we try to get out of the village, or even if in case it is in the village, try to establish myself as the superior one, building the big houses or buying things out and so on and so forth, or trying to keep a distance with others with whom you have been this friendly. Right? That is not the purpose of wealth. Wealth is not your acquired, what do we say, prosperity. Wealth is an acquired responsibility. The wealth goes, it diminishes, it dies. So you have to employ and maintain that wealth. While doing that, we need to keep in mind that the gram is what I am here to serve, and in turn to serve the nation. That should be the thought that we should have, and that is the Vedic way of life, and that is the way that we should adopt ourselves. And also, in Upanishads we say, right, Swadhyayam and Pravachanam, right? That is the most important duty. If you have learned to speak truth, Satyam cha Swadhyaya Pravachane cha, Ritam cha swadhyaya pravachane cha is the way that mantra goes. So you need to ensure that you are standing by those values. A beautiful lesson for us, and I'll go for the emphasis again. Chanakya Niti establishes the importance of hierarchical and interdependent relationships. It is the relationships that form the world. It is not the world gives me pleasure to the extent that I want. I have not come here for the pleasures of life. Pleasure or pain is an ashirvad of the God. It is the karma phala. It is not something that I have got. Karmanyevadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. We say that and we totally agree, but we fail to understand that the sukham, the dukkham that you get, the pleasures, the enjoyments, etc., that you get, is not in the wealth. No matter how wealthy you are, you will still have sukham, you will still have dukkham. But what has happened is there is a big advertisement, there is a big propagation saying that live for pleasures. Right? That is the first thing. So it is the pleasure is not something that you can live forever. It is a karma phala, and that is given by the God, not based on the wealth that you acquire. Now, this form of relationship is essential for human society. When you create a relationship between you and the king directly, it kind of makes the society go in the wrong direction. And today we can see it literally that it is going south in terms of values, in terms of even the pleasures, in terms of the sickness that people are having, in terms of the mental illness that people are having. Behavioral health is the word that they use for it, but it is creating that vacuum in you. This is what the current model of government is doing. This current model of governance is giving a lot of administrative convenience. But for a human society, it is not considered to be a good model. We are not here to change that model. We are not even close to being empowered. Even if in case it is Prime Minister Narendra Modi, I would say the same thing. It is the flow of the world. You are in the spiral thing of the world. What we need to understand is that is the value and continue communicating it so that it will eventually evolve into the society. It will come back into the society. And this coming back into the society is also unavoidable. It will also happen. Right? The emphasis will shift from being a bhokta, a consumer, or an experiencer, than a karta, a contributor to the society. Consuming the earth, which is what we are doing, will become the model, and sustainability will become a challenge, resulting in the failures of the government on whom the subjects would have become dependents. And this is something that we can see as happening. Aham cha tvam ityayam sankalpah tat iti vishayah bhavishyati. Right? This is the concept which we refer to as I and you will become a subject of the it. That is what this means. Aham, I, cha tvam, and you, ityayam sankalpah. Become the it. Iti is it. Tat iti vishayah bhavishyati. In this manner, when we proceed, this is what is going to happen. And this cannot be stopped. This cannot be reverted. It is not easy. It's a huge society that is happening, and there are people who are trying to move into this bad model today. When this is so among various kingdoms, about more, almost about 200 nations, when this is the model that is happening, you cannot change it. But this will come to the point where the value being lost is seen, and then the search for the value will take us back to the same values. Till then, we have to communicate that this is the value, this is the dharma. effect and evolution of Kali, there will be a spread of fear and distrust. Policies will be implemented to address exceptions, reducing the capabilities and increasing dependence. The current model can provide comfort that reduces your association with your fellow beings. For example, the robots being used to serve food in the restaurants today, the human connections getting cut, and cut. It will create a myth of human enjoyments and pleasures, right? It can bring you travel. I have been to Bali, I have been that, this, and that. Okay, what is it? What is so much about Bali, or what about that? Right? If you have an opportunity, I'm not saying you should not go. But what is happening is going there is becoming the goal of the life, or saying that, hey, he has gone, I have not gone, I should go. That kind of a thing is only creating more and more unrest in the heart of the people. This process creates a sense of justice. Justice will be continued to be served, but remember that feeling of the justice being delivered, even though it was received, would have lost its value. The system will serve you information, but not what you need. You will be served what the system wants and not what you need. These are all the things that will evolve more and more and more, creating a myth of progress and success. This is again that is happening in the society. Progress and success will be driven by numbers and comparisons thereof. Cost of what you get will remain unknown. For example, the one that we quote is the number of years it takes for a tree to grow and how they are consumed. Right? We take this observation in all the three planes: physical, subtle, and causal. Now, while the numbers could reflect a fragment of physical attribution, the subtle and causal bodies remain without consideration. These are all the downsides of what we are going towards. Avoid incorrect understanding of this analysis. This does not mean whatever is happening is wrong. Both good and bad things happen at all times. The purpose of highlighting this is to keep this in your mind while doing your Kshetra Paripalana. Also, it is an important factor to keep in mind your own preferences and actions. Be more conscious to pulling people together, keeping the connections not limited to your comfort, but to address the overall goodness of the society. Don't be afraid of meeting people. Volunteer to meet beyond your comfort zone as a practice at least once a week. Face negative experiences voluntarily, as it allows inner growth and enables excellence in you. Now, how is this related to the shloka? Arjuna knows this dharma, but his emotions reflect the first two rules of taking into consideration of the kulam and the grama. It overlooked the other two. Indraprastha is the nation, and as a Kshatriya, it is his dharma to restore the kingdom from domination, which is what Duryodhan has done. In terms of righteousness, Hastinapur became increasingly adharmic, be it the war on Viratha or even attempt to capture Lord Krishna, who had come as an emissary, or insulting women in the court. The last and the most important, dharma, is also covered. So, based on dharma as well as willingness to compromise a village to save the nation, in both these senses, Arjuna failed. Whereas, with respect to the first two, he maintained. So, in Shloka 23, Arjuna expressed the same army as Dharta Rashtrasya Durbuddhehe, the evil-minded sons of Dhritarashtra, and now he is referring to them as Swajanam. This indicates a Dvaita Buddhi, which is the root cause of samsara, emanating from Ragaha and Dveshaha. When you have that attachment, Karuna, when that becomes a dosha, this is the result. And this has been demonstrated in seeing the divided mind of Arjuna, as well as seeing how he knew the Dharma Shastra and yet he was not able to apply the Dharma Shastra to its completeness. I know towards the last slide or so, I kind of rushed, but it is, I think, covered in totality with a lot more being elaborated in the past. And of course, I took 5 minutes over, and my apologies for that. Of course, we started 5 minutes late too. So, well, all is good. I can excuse myself, but it is beyond the time. And thank you for bearing with me. We will take a break here and we will go to Prabha. Prabhakar, do you have any questions? Hey, Prabha, I think your mute is unmuted, but we cannot hear you. Well, you can type it out or we can always chat later. I will move to Jyoti ji.
Am I audible?
Oh, yeah, you're audible. Go for it, Prabha.
Thank you, Naresh. Feeling good? No questions? Awesome.
Awesome. Well, you take care of your health. I'm happy that you're fine back and looking forward to seeing you.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Jyoti ji?
Namaste, Nashji. I have no questions on the class, Nashji.
Thank you. Ravi Bhaiya?
Thank you, Uncle Ji. No questions. Thank you.
Awesome. Shyam is still there or gone?
Shyam is working hard for Google.
Thank you so very much, and we will connect again next week. Hari Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat.